Hi, we've been talking about the ways that we are still affected by popularity and why popularity is so important. And previously, we talking about the ways that is might really be built into how our brains are set up and even how our DNA respond and this expressed, but I want to move on by talking a little bit about how popularity is affected each and every one of its accurately uh, of time a day, especially where going to talk about how you this popularity when you be anger affect a lot of the ways that we think about our social experience. About before we do that, do like for you to watch this video. Just watch the video and you are going to be asked to say a little bit about what you saw in the video. So watch colorful. The watch we're going to talk about now has been studied by psychologists for many years, and it is referred to as social information profession. Nikki Creek and Ken Dockley were among the first to develop a model. It is really a way of talking every single social expression you have and zooming in it down into super slow down. So if you were to draw and think about all of the teeny little infographics professions that are happening between the moment that you see something and the moment that you respond. Your will divide them up into a few difficult steps. So the first things that happens is that this is an event. This could be a big event like sometimes breaks up this year, or it could be a tiny little event like you are walking through a crowd and someone nods at you very subtly. It turned out that in order for us to respond to that event, there are many little sleeps that happen, and the first one is whether or not we include that event. So, for instance, if you were walking toward a crowd and someone nodded at you, you might not ever notice it. You might be looking at somebody else, or you might be looking at your phone, answering animals emails, or you might be assuming that no one is interested in looking at you. So you don't really even adapt to that happening. It is very common for professors to talk about teacher in their class and Rachel when nothing all of the students that are looking at them and kind of nodded that really stand to focus on just whose students that are looking down and clearly are doing Facebook while they're lecturing, and that is a really great example of care and coding, the idea that they tend to even just nothing some things about money more than other and actually don't ever see the other things in the visual file at all. Well, as we see something when we encoded something and we said that our brand has brought it to some attention to us. Then we have to attract what is it is that we since or heard or felt, and we care interpretations, and there are many different ways that we might interpret what it is what were just encoded, and we it all talk about that more in just a second. Well, after we appreciated something, then a really facts we don't ever realize that we're doing in then design what is our goal that we hoping to answer is this reckless sustain, and then because in improved sleep still Kelly Wally clarification. Once we have a goal, we come up this variety of possible things that we could do to respond the self on the of choose responses again super fast. We are not even ever we not it and even then we follow what on that with response enhancement. So in other words, we design to act our what it is that we say that we would rather that we wanted to do, and once we respond that offer produces a new event. So for instance, if this all stated by someone nodding and at you end up deciding to nod back, that might lead to them very waving or sunning high or something like that. If you decided instead to do something ready to them, that might lead to same sort of event where if would start a wall nexusly and it happens again and again. Well, all of this happens beside on all of our brain expressions. So a very single expressions that we are go had socially is stored in a database, and there is actually good brain research to say that when we look at how people respond to things, it often is involving center of our brain involved in interbiological memory. So we are very frequently drawing upon their old expressions, particularly as it turned out expressions with popularity as a way to understand how every social expressions happens to us every single to day, and something we think about very very expertly. We all talk about that in a second, but first let's talk about an expertly where we might see this play out, and I'm going to show you three different pretend people and how they might respond to a similar event. So for instance, imagine that someone walks by, then roll at look at you, they smile and they giggle a little bit. Well, imagine that in the quiet and sleep, the first person might look at that and say, I just some a person language at me, okay? So that because of the tables they really attended to the learning. The second person might say, I just saw a person make your contracts my smile, so they didn't really remember their language as much. The student show us if you asked them little, they might not ever recall that the happened, or they might not ever notice it, but they are really nothing. The early context of the smile and the trained person, maybe they are the kind of person that doesn't believe that anyone would ever smile at them. They have a lifetime of rejection, of feeling that they are never noticed by anybody. They are students show less likely to ever nothing than people do look at them. So they might not ever nothing about anybody. The next step that will happen then is care interactions. So that first person might say, I think that person was making fun of me. So that first person may say, I think that person was making fun of me. I saw the king of language, and my attention the wing. I immediately associate with that is, I think they way they think me somehow, but maybe the second person hawking of was really nothing. The early context and the smile might interactions that by Sally of, or I think maybe that person